Hello everyone, welcome back to some Space Engineer Survival. Got a beautiful sunrise going on here at the moment. And I've got a bit of a special one to start us off with today. I've found a new mod on the workshop this morning and it just blew me away. So I'm going to just take a quick look at that before we get into building. So everybody's seen the new button panels from Keen that look like this, that have the LCDs as button panels. And Avigarian has created a mod with new models that lets you put similar button panels on a railing or on a catwalk. And these are a couple of tests I did to see what else they could be attached to. They didn't work very well. As you can see, I can't actually press the buttons on that one. Same here, can't press the buttons or on this one. So just to show how these are set up is you just place a normal railing, and then on the back of that normal railing you place the button panel, and it's just as simple as that. It does mean that you have to take up 2 blocks of space, so nothing else can be placed in this block back here in order for that to work. But yeah, I'm quite excited to see what I can do with these. It makes some like utility vehicles with little control stations like this quite possible now, and looks really interesting. So without any further ado, let's see what we can make. So today I am going to be creating a tunneling machine, or trying to anyway. So the idea of this is, in the survival stream that we've been doing, we're on an ice lake and we're right next to a cliff face like this, and we've sort of dug into the side of the cliff face. We've done it by hand so far, trying to just get undercover out of the way of the drones that are coming. And that it's kind of worked. We've got a survival kit safe, but now we want to expand on that base a little bit, and we want to create some interior rooms inside that cave that we can eventually pressurize and make airtight. And to do that, we're going to need a machine to help us dig those tunnels for 2 reasons. One is we want them to be fairly straight, and the other is that's a hell of a lot of rock to drill by hand, so we're going to try and speed that up a little bit with some mechanical assistance. So I am thinking that I want to make this in large grid, just so that I can use the large grid pistons primarily, but it might be that when we look at that it's a bit too big, and we're going to maybe want to do it small grid base, large grid piston assembly, and then switch back to small grid maybe for the drills. So however I build this, it's going to be a tricky one to build in survival. It won't be as simple as just taking a blueprint and then projecting it, because the projectors on survival mode won't project subgrids yet. Keen, listen, we want subgrid projection. So, but until then, we have to build them manually, which is a bit of a challenge sometimes, particularly when you're going from small grid to large grid, because you have to get that initial large grid rotor part positioned correctly by hand in order to be able to attach it. And you'll see what I mean in a moment when we get into this, if the large grid base doesn't work. Anyway, so let's start off. I'm just going to build a little bit of a pylon here just to get us up off the ground a little bit. And let's just have a stretch out front and back here. Now, I need this to be quite narrow, So the plan here is to go with the 3x3 wheels and to have them on this center piece so that we are very narrow as a vehicle, and we can fit down a narrower tunnel, because everything that we put on this has got to be behind drills of some description to make sure that we can drive along what we're drilling out. And we're going to have to test this a little as well to make sure that the drills are at the right angle, so that we're not gradually going downwards or gradually going upwards. We need to get them just right to give us a nice flat surface. So to start out with, then we've got the left wheel here. Let's just put a couple of those on, and they're quite big, as you can see. Let's go with the right wheels. So that's giving us, how many blocks wide are we there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're 10 blocks wide there. So that's a pretty hefty wide corridor that we're going to have to build just to get this in. And we are 3 blocks high already. So if each of these blocks is 2.5 meters, that's 7.5 meters high corridor. That's a pretty high corridor. If you think most rooms in a regular house are about 3 meters tall, floor to ceiling, you get an idea of the scale of this then. So just looking at that, I think that's going to be maybe okay actually for the main corridor, because that can be like a rover garage entrance, I suppose, and we can always build a normal corridor down the side of it for human traffic, shall we say, human pedestrian traffic even. So let's stick with this for now then. So we're going to want a kind of box in the middle here, because we're going to want all of the weight on this to be pretty much central. And how many blocks are we front to back? 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we're 10 front to back at the moment, which makes it awkward, admittedly. So I'm just going to stick another block on the back here, and we'll move these wheels 1 block backwards. Like that, just so we've got an odd number front to back, and then this is our center point. And I'm just going to create a little box around that, and we're going to need to offset where we're actually connected here as well. So I'm going to connect us up at the back, so I can get rid of this little connection here. There we go, perfect. So in the middle here we can take that block out, and that gives us a nice little slot now that we can drop our first bit of subgridding into, which will be this advanced rotor. And I want to be careful here and make sure that 0 is facing forwards. So you see all the numbers on the sides here. These are the degrees that the rotor can rotate through. And we want 0 facing forwards in this case, because we want to be able to have it reset to 0 when we're done. So that's that. And I'm going to, for now, I'm just going to increase the rotor displacement up to its maximum, just so that it sits a little bit proud of this space, and we can adjust that to be a little closer later on if we need to, but it'll make it just a little bit easier to turn that around. So off of this then, we're going to want to have a kind of armature system here. Actually, I'm thinking we might want to be a little further back. What do you guys think about having maybe a hinge on the back here? No, because that's not going to let us go downwards either, is it? Let's carry on as we are there. I can always play with that a little more when we get there. So to start off with, we need to figure out where the drills are going to sit when they're at rest, and I'd like them to sit kind of just in front of the wheels here and have it so that they're essentially across this line, so we can drill out for the wheels, and then maybe another line above just to give us the height that we want. Now we are going to want to be able to we're going to want to lift those up as well a little bit to be able to adjust. So I'm going to take this front bit off here, and we're going to go for a piston on the front here. Now that's too big. That's the normal Space Engineer's piston. If I plot that there, you can see we're never going to get a straight line for the drills with that, unless we come up a little bit from this to start with, and then come down on the other side. These pistons are quite long though when they're extended, and I don't think we're ever going to want to go that high or that steep as an angle. Because if we look at that as an angle, maybe from back here, that's pretty damn steep. So this might be a good point to try the More Pistons mod, which has a 1x1 piston in it. And that might be a little nicer on the front just there. So that sits just nicely there, and if we reverse that, yeah, this build is going to take a lot of experimentation. It's going to be very, very tricky to get right, which is why we're doing it in creative. Once I've done it once, we should be okay reproducing it in the survival series. But for now, we just want to get this designed. So I'm thinking we're going to want like a fairly beefy array of pistons up here. Just to give us the length that we want. So I'm considering whether that rotor is in the right place or not. But I think we can deal with that from there. So let's take it from there as we were planning. I'm going to come backwards first. I'm going to use these tubes, and it might be a good idea to lock that rotor as well, just so it doesn't start swinging around on us. So regular piston is 3, so if we come back this far and we start off going that way, and then let's piston on there. And then up here, and thanks to the new collision models, I should be able to put another piston there. Maybe not. Okay, so they haven't got to that one yet. That's okay, we'll just come back this way. And we'll go up another one. I think we're going to have to get rid of that there, that's not going to work. And this is only giving us... So this is only going to give us forward capability here, and really we want something that's going to let us go either straight on or at a slight angle, or possibly directly upwards. That would be ideal, because then we can build a nice shaft up the mountain for a lift shaft or something like that. And it might also be useful if the assembly could rotate downwards as well, and I'm not entirely sure how we achieve that at the moment, unless we use a hinge that's right on the front here. If we stick a hinge here, let's lock it for the moment. So if that turns to the plus 90 degrees, so for those that don't know, this little tick here represents the negative rotation. So going backwards, if I get the velocity and go in, let's turn the rotor lock off first. So if I go backwards, that's negative. If I go forwards, then it goes that way. So this doesn't need to be exact anyway, I just need to get it back roughly to 0. Close enough. Okay, so if we were to build off of this, and this doesn't need conveyor, it's just going to act as a hinge, then we can make the whole piston assembly off of that. If we move that to 90 degrees, it can drill downwards there. If we leave it horizontal, it can drill forwards. What it does mean is that we're not going to be able to have it drill in front of the wheels here. Which is a potential problem, but we can see how many pistons we can fit in to see how far we can get with it. Because if we can get it to if the drill head, that's interesting. If we can make sure that the front of the drill head is like right on this line here, Yeah, that's not going to work either, is it? That's it's quite a tricky one, this, to get this so that we can drill out as we go. We might just need to put some drills in front of these tyres to give us the space we need. But obviously that will interfere with this drill rig when it's in operation, but just to be able to drive in. Let's see what we can do with it. Let's see what we can do. Okay, so we're going to get rid of this whole contraption at the back here. No longer needed here. We're not going to need this rotor either, so we'll just get rid of that. And we're going to do that same sort of thing off of this hinge. And I think we can, if we start with an extended piston, see where that goes to, because then retracting that piston can be pushing things forwards. Yeah, witchy wish. I think the hinges having a stronger torque is possibly a bug that Keen might fix at some point, but hopefully not. Hopefully they'll just improve the rotors themselves. So what we're trying to do here is build a drill rig, and so this is going to be the front, and I want to be able to drive into the tunnel that this carves out as well. So we may want to have a little bit of play on the front here when we come to do the drills. So let's... That's not the right block. That one. We'll see how many of these we can get in here, and then it'll hopefully give us enough reach and enough drill space to be able to dig a fairly good tunnel through this mountain, or at least into the mountain as a kind of base tunnel. So for those that haven't, that weren't here at the start, I'm building this drill rig for a survival stream that I do on a Monday evening, and the aim is that we're going to build an underground base, and we need something to make drilling out that base a lot less painful. Yeah, they're definitely overpowered, Witchy Wish. They're it's a shame in some ways because the rotors are so useful, but then If you use pistons and rotors together, you can get more power. So I guess it depends on the engineering you want to do, really. Okay, so we've got 3 there, 3 pistons lengthwise. I wonder actually if we've got the more pistons mod, I wonder if it would be worth switching this up and bringing the tubes back here and then using the longer pistons that has. That might be a good idea. Actually, so let's drop that off of there. We'll get rid of that. Let's do that. Let's come all the way back to the back of the vehicle. And then we'll start on one side, but we're going to go with a much longer piston here. So where I was using that one, we want this 1x5 piston instead, which is huge. But I think that's going to give us a lot more reach. In fact, ooh. Oh, this is going to be incredible. Oh, that's just going to be amazing. Okay, that's what we're doing. So, come up and back. And all the way to the back. And then we'll have another 2 pistons, and we're going to get so much more reach out of these. This is going to be insane. I mean, just on that, one of those pistons can extend to 35 meters, so we're already 90 meters there, 90, 100 meters. That's just ridiculous, and I can get another 2 in as well down this side. So we're going to come back along the side there again, and then go along underneath, and that should give us more than enough extension then to be able to get inside a mountain, get tunneling out. And even if we take this out to an ore deposit, potentially we can flip this round so it's pointing downwards and drill straight down into that ore deposit. So there's this huge potential here. Of course, I have made a very stupid mistake here. And that is that I haven't put any conveyor junctions in anywhere, and that means that I can't actually pipe this stuff that we're mining to anywhere at the moment, which was just a little bit on the silly side. So let's see what I can do about that, shall we? Okay, let's just take a copy of this a minute. Stick it over there. I'm going to finish off putting the pistons in so that we know where it all is. So then this bit's going to connect to the drills. So I'm going to cheat a little bit here. And hopefully this won't blow up horribly. If I just extend one of these pistons ever so slightly. Stick a merge block there. And then let's reverse it back again. Come on. Why can't you merge? Okay. Let's extend you again. Let's get this merged if we can, and then in theory, boom, there we go. So that then is going to hold all that steady while I get rid of that. And that, and I'm starting to have visions of explosions happening here shortly. So we'll take these off so I'm not going to break anything there. Let's just connect this up while I get rid of these. And then 2, 1, 2, so that's where that's going to go. So we want the conveyor junction just here. Whack that in. Oh, no, that's a sorter. Conveyor junction in there. So that's going to give me access to be able to pipe the goodies off to something else. And then I want to put a hinge back on here. We'll get rid of the hinge part. And in here we're going to want to make a hinge part to sit on there. Don't blow up, don't blow up, don't blow up. Yay, there we go, attached. So now that that's attached, I can get rid of this supporting structure. Like so. Great. And then we can put the wheels back on. Just like that. Of course, putting them in the right spot would be helpful, wouldn't it? There we go. Yep. So we now have hinged conveyor. And I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do with that conveyor just yet, but we could at the very least we could come underneath with a pipe or something like that. It gives us some options at least. So we now want to drill on the front of this, or a set of drills, should I say. So we've got our angle there. We can always tilt it back a little bit because we've got some clearance here. I'd almost be tempted to put the piston in here, so that little 1x1 piston, so we can lift the whole thing up a little if we wanted to. Okay, we don't need this backup anymore. Let's get rid of that. Make a new one. Yeah, let's do that actually. Let's replace this. I almost want to lift the whole thing up by one, but then it's getting quite tall. I'm not so sure. So I think replacing this with a piston is probably the best way to go. So I'm not going to mess around with that this time. I'm just going to drop that off. I'm going to cut this whole assembly and just paste it over there for a moment. Things have damaged. That is okay, I think. We can repair stuff like that. That's not a big deal. Let's just make sure nothing else is broken. Okay, so hinges stronger than pistons. That's interesting. At least from fall damage anyway. Yeah, it is Witchy Wish. It's one of those kind of dark arts in Space Engineers, I guess. So having a lot of adjustment capabilities in the build, I think, is the way to go. So we can adjust everything we want to adjust. So by sticking this piston here, we can always lift the whole rig up a little. So if we want to do an upward slope, that's how we'd achieve that. There, and then if I come down here and I copy that from there, and it's not going to let me do this. That's... Hey, John. Yeah, lots of engineers are like, let's just try this. What can go wrong? Okay, let's... If we stick that on there, this is going to get tricky, isn't it? I might as well just... Let's add the head, and then... add a hinge head. Let's take the head off of this side. Let's see if we can get this to just connect now. Indeed. So does anybody know why this won't let me attach this? Because I've done this before with other grids. This one just doesn't seem to be playing ball. No, that doesn't want to attach, so I think I'm just going to have to build this again on here, which is no big deal. I mean, we've got fairly large blocks to be dealing with, so let's just quickly knock that out. Excuse me for the bumps. I think it might be worth having a few more of the conveyor junctions in this lot as well at some point. So what did we do? We came all the way back, we went right. And then we went to big piston. I love this more pistons mod. It is absolutely essential for anything like this. And bring that all the way back. And then, so this is the right hand side, yeah. So we'll just quickly get this knocked out, and then we're going to have so much extension space here. It is unreal. Where did that go? Ah, there it went. Whoops. Okay. There we go. So we're back to where we were, and now we have a piston here that we can use to lift the whole assembly up a little bit when we want to. So if we bring this back down, those hinges are stupidly strong. Yeah, block mods, I have quite a few, I will admit. In fact, at the beginning of the stream, I showed off one that was very, very useful, interesting mod. So you've all seen the railings from Keen, and the catwalks, obviously. Well, just take a look at this and have your mind blown. So this is a new mod that popped up on the workshop today. These are button panels, and you can attach them to any of these railings. And there's one that is on glass as well. I really, really like this mod. Yeah, it's stuff like that, utility stuff. I mean, the more AQD conveyor expansion by Enra is quite a nice one as well. Just a few extra conveyor shapes, more pistons. The old more catwalks mod from the old mods, from the old catwalks, should I say? I think what others we've got. A few things like. Trying to think of the others we have in. There's a couple of like programmable block mods that I like. So programmable text panels, the micro programmable block are both quite cool. and the new sci-fi programmable block that somebody did as well, based on the console model, I believe it was. Based on the sci-fi console model. All quite useful. They don't take anything away from the game, and most of them try to stay true to the Space Engineers block style as well, which I think is quite nice. This one I find absolutely essential when dealing with small grid vehicles. So it's a small advanced rotor. Very, very handy. So we have this. Now what? So I'm thinking here it's probably going to be best to stick an advanced rotor on the front of this and switch over to small grid for the drills themselves. Let's displace that a little as well. Something I have found on advanced rotors is if you don't set the displacement out away from the rotor to its pretty much to its maximum displacement when you're converting from large grid to small grid, and you're going to have drills on the bottom here, the wobbling of the drills damages the rotor. And you can avoid it by just increasing that displacement up to its maximum. Okay, so we're now going to want something that isn't that. There we go. So I need to get this on here to convert over to some small grid, small conveyors for the drills. Yeah, in an old survival not that old, survival game a few months back, I'd created a static grid, and it had a hinge and a bunch of pistons, and then an advanced rotor on the end of the piston, on the end of the last piston. And I was using the advanced rotor to attach and detach the drill head, and it was a small grid head on the rotor with small grid drill assembly. And I found that every time I reattached, if I forgot to reset the displacement on the rotor to maximum, within a few seconds of activating the drills, the rotor was damaged enough to not be transmitting goodies through the conveyor network. Did not want to do that. There we go. So I'm going to bring this forwards like this, and hopefully how close do those drills get actually? Let's have a look. So if I would stick a drill straight on the front of there, so they are right next to each other, so we can actually space these out a little bit now. So let's take these off like that. impact. Didn't want to do that. At least it's not survival. And we're going to want to go out a little further on either side anyway, aren't we? Because we want this rig to be able to drill out nice wide tunnels for it to drive down. That's good that side. Just need a couple more this side. So I wonder then, if we were to just stick the drills directly to this, do they have enough drill area? Have a look. That looks like plenty actually. So if I stick that one there, go like this all the way along here. So what's that? That's 5 in between. So 1, 2, 3, 5, and we do this all the way along. That is quite lucky. So this, then if I do the same along the top, gives us quite a decent amount of drill space. Then I'm just conscious of coming down any further. This is already going to impact this hinge if we try and hinge it up, unfortunately. So I think that's going to be a bit of a redesign job here. Let's go back to the drawing board on that one. So just drop those off. Clean up my mess. So to get this into a position where we can flip this whole thing forwards, I'm just going to actually flip it now. Let's move all of that forwards. That is a lot of wobble. You please share inertia tensor. Thank you. So the plan is on this to have a landing gear somewhere on here that will lock us to the ground when we're going to be drilling. So however we drill, whether we're drilling straight ahead, straight down, however that works out, having that landing gear locked will mean that the front heaviness of this isn't going to be an issue while we're drilling. Admittedly, it would have probably been easier had I ended up in the middle here with our drill. So let's do that first, I think, is that's got to be our first priority. So let's it gets us roughly into the middle. And then if we go like that, that's a great idea, Witchy Wish. That's a very, very good idea. So stick an upwards facing landing gear down here to lock those pistons into place. Something I want to do actually is make all of these pistons share inertia tensor as well, because that will keep the whole thing a lot more stable when it's drilling as well. If we give this also share inertia tensor and this rotor as well, and that should keep it all very, very stable. Okay, so from here then, let's see, how do we want to drill out if we're going here? We almost want to be able to extend some drills or retract them based on whether we're vertical or horizontal. So if we're here like this, I actually think we want a rotor here. Whack that there like that. Let's stick an advanced rotor on there. We'll lock it for the moment and make sure its displacement's maxed. Yep. And then we want to put the drills on here somehow. I do wish that there'd be a block that was kind of the opposite to this block, where it had two of these and then all of the other sides with these on. So you got almost like a through connection for large port, and then all of the other sides had the small ports on them. That would be really useful. If I stick those like that, and then we just connect up these round the corners. So with the way these drills work, we could make a drill head like this. And that's all piped in, but it obviously doesn't get us anywhere near being able to drive this thing through the hole. But we would be able to just rotate that then, using this rotor, drill a big core hole straight down to wherever it is we're getting the ore from. That's one possibility. I mean, if we could almost replicate that with its spinning drill heads in 3 here, and give us 3 spinning drill heads. I'm just not sure how effective the overlap would be on that. So the other option here is to leave that locked. And to bring this out this way some more, so instead of these in the middle here, we just come out three, 4, 5. We just come out either side. Like that. And then stick conveyor junction just like that. And then we do the same on this one. Yes, Witchy Wish, it was very interesting to see it blow up horribly. I agree. But hey, that's what Space Engineers is all about, right? All praise Clang and all that. Yeah, that will just bug my OCD. Okay, I think connecting these up just to give more connection points is probably a good idea as well. Let's at least make it look like it's got some kind of strength to it. Not much, admittedly, but... And plus, the benefit of this means that we can get more drills in the middle here if we need to. So if we need to deal with some overlapping voxels that are just making it between these drills, we can always stick an extra one in the middle of these. Yeah. Oh no, no, no! I'm not even touching Kerbal Space Program. That's too much failure for me. At least when I fail in Space Engineers, it's kind of amusing. I'm not sure what you mean, Witchy Wish. So I'm using small drills because their drill area is actually slightly better at overlapping with themselves than the large drills. The large drills drill area, how best to illustrate this? So if I turn on build vision, we go. So that's the large drills drill area. The green is obviously the mining, and the red is if you right-click drilling. But if I switch to the small drill, you can see that the mining radius for the green area stays about the same. It's harder to see when it's like that, but it's only a very slight difference, but the small drills drill out more space around themselves relative to their own size compared to the large grid drills. So with the large grid drills, they barely manage to scrape out enough space for themselves to fit through. And so if you're using a large grid drill ship, you pretty much have to just have a wall of drills. You can't kind of checkerboard them or leave gaps between them. Otherwise, you get these kind of spiky bits of voxel poking into your ship between the drills. Whereas if you use the small grid drills, you can have more space around them for other things, and still have their drill areas overlapping. So like if I look at this, should be able to see. Yeah, I mean, I think I am going to have to put some drills in the middle here as well. But you can normally get away with a couple of blocks, a couple of small grid blocks space between them. But I do think we're going to need these guys. And let me get rid of build vision. But yeah, I do think we're going to need these in here. Just to give us the extra overlap in the middle. Come back to that one in the middle there in a moment. And let's do a little dance and bring the sun back. Or where the sun is at the moment, but we go back to sunset. And so in here now we have a nice little pilot drill, just a little bit down below the others. It's not really a pilot drill, it's just because I couldn't fit it in anywhere any other way, but that'll work. So now we've got a drill head like this. Let's put it back to horizontal. Oh, actually no. I was going to put something at the back here, wasn't I, to hold this. So let's see about doing that. First things first though, let's make sure we're not going to detach ourselves. So we whack that there like that. When we bring this back down, let's do it a little slower than last time. So one of the things we are going to have to do is once we're locked to the floor, we turn the drills on before we bring them up vertical, because the landscape might just get in the way a little bit, and that'll make sure that we clear enough space as they tip up. There we go. So that locked nicely. So our lower limit needs to be much, much higher. Going to have to go into a terminal for that, so there's our hinge. We'll set that to minus 0.04 for the lower limit. That'll give it ample opportunity to go and latch onto the landing gear, and then we can always unlock that to bring it up again. That was a good idea. Must remember to unlock that before we try to lift this piston though as well. And I think having this rotor here actually gives us another possibility in that we can spin this whole thing 90 degrees. And by spinning it 90 degrees, we can carve out a narrower, taller corridor that will be tall enough for the machine. And we've got this rotor here as well that will let us rotate this armature around. Ooh, that's actually quite nice, because if I unlock that back connector, let's get rid of our old backup, take a new one. Let's stick that over there. But if we unlock this now, and let's change the velocity on this so it's a little bit slower, and reverse that. So this whole thing has so much flexibility built into it now that we can mine virtually anywhere we want with it. Because if I go to this rotor, I'm just going to name this one the drill alignment rotor. And where is it currently? It's so this is 0. So if I set the maximum, so if I set the minimum to 0 and the maximum to 180, let's have some braking torque on there as well. Turn off the rotor lock. So we should now be able to spin that all the way around. And yes, it will be a little bit off center. What it will let us do, in theory, when I drop that back down, is we should be able to drill out enough of a gap to fit the wheels through. Go. Then I bring this down. And we won't be able to drive into it straight, but we will be able to extend that, drill out a nice big chunk, we can fine-tune the height of the drill area, although I think we will be very, very close anyway. It's hard to see at the moment. It's kind of hard to tell. I wish I could do that at a greater distance with build info. That would be useful if I could look at them a little bit further away and sort of see where they go. But yeah, it's I'm quite happy with that so far. So now we need a way of controlling this contraption. And what I was showing you earlier with those button panels is very, very tempting. I do like having that where it is. We can extend that. We can fine-tune the height of this. We can fine-tune the angle that it drills at. We can switch that round so it's vertical if we want as well. Yeah, there's so much adjustment in this that it's going to be quite the utility vehicle. So just need to make it now a little bit more practical. And I'm kind of looking at this space under here, and I know a few health and safety officers that might have palpitations over putting a control panel under here. But I think with that at the back and this all fairly stable, that won't be too big a deal. But what I do want to do is see, where does that come up? So that's going to come up the very side of the right. Let's reattach this back bit down to the ground like that, so I can get rid of this bit, and then let's have some symmetry. Okay, so I want to bring this out a bit more and then up and come across this, across the top of this wheel. We haven't got any spin side to side, so that's fine. We're not going to collide anything there. It almost feels actually too close, do you think? You put decent wheel strength on and we should be okay with that. I can probably get away with it a little more. If we did it like that. That works. So one of the other mods that I did get was this, but it looks like it might be small grid only, which is like a standing cockpit. That it seems like it's designed specifically for this kind of utility vehicle. Go have a look at it. Yeah, it's small grid only, which is a shame. unless we were to sort of stick it out here, which is probably not the best from a health and safety perspective, particularly if you're going to be switching it upside down and stuff like that. So that's fine. I think having a regular control seat on something like this is perfectly fine. Oh, didn't turn off creative mode. Hey, thanks for the follow, John. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, by the way. Jeroen Math Clapper. You might want to post your phonetic pronunciation of that into the channel. Otherwise, I will keep getting it wrong. So the question is here. We've got to go back one anyway because of that. So I need a nice spot from which I can drive this, where I can see mostly what's going on. I mean, I think third person's probably going to be a thing anyway, but now is that going to clang? I don't think it will, so let's bring that out like that. That gives us a nice platform up here. Okay, I'm just going to give that a quick try with the piston here, just to make sure we're not going to catch that. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay, so this is becoming a thing of beauty. I like this. It's an odd beauty. Jeroen. Yeah. The big drills, I was mentioning to Witchy Wish earlier. If you look at the size of the drills for a start, that they're quite huge. So compared to the small grid, they are absolutely massive. And the other thing is, if I switch build info on, you can see the green sphere there is the mining radius. So when comparing the mining radius of the small drill to the mining radius of the large drill, although the large drill has a slightly larger mining radius, relative to its own size, the small drill has a larger radius. Oh, you talking about the modded drill head from Tiered Tech? Yeah, I've used Tiered Tech in the past, and it's nice, but I find that there's a couple of issues with it in terms of how it overrides the unknown signals. So if you're running a speed mod, for example, it can cause issues with the unknown signals just plummeting into the ground. and you've got no other way of overriding them really that fixes them. And that large drill as well, I found, actually drills so quickly that it actually retrieves more stone and ore in such a short space of time than it can actually hold in its own inventory. So you end up destroying a lot of what you're mining. It literally just can't clear the inventory through the conveyor network quick enough. It's been an issue that the author of that mod has known about for a while, and I think it's something that they can't really fix without just massively increasing that drill's inventory. And once you do that, it starts to get even cheesier than it already is. So I do like to try to keep my builds mostly vanilla. I say mostly, I am using some mods on this, like the larger pistons and the smaller piston. But I like to keep them close to vanilla and just use the things, the blocks that make the engineering more interesting. This is going to be super interesting in how I connect this up, because right now it's relying on this one block and I don't like that. So I can't say I'm a fan of that either. So one of the mods I do have in is I have a few of the AQD kind of quality of life mods. So things like build info, build vision, smarter suits, just general stuff that really should be in the base game. The AQD packs have some other interesting stuff in them as well, such as the block extension. So one of the blocks that's been missing in Space Engineers for quite a long time has been this one. Let me turn off build vision so you can see this. That's kind of a key block that's been missing for quite a while, and AQD adds that, so that's handy. There are others. There's the conveyor extension as well, which adds conveyor blocks like T connectors. You've got the X connectors, and they also add in armored versions of them as well, which are a little harder to see. There, but you get these armored versions of the conveyors as well. Quite handy. More handy for airtight spaces and making sure you've got connection points on things. I think my big problem right now is I've built this wonderful little platform up here, and I've got no idea how I'm going to actually connect it back to the rest of this vehicle other than just using these. I think that's probably going to be my best bet. And that does just give it a little bit more space inside here as well. So now that I've got that connected there, we can take that connection out there. And I want to just taper this off now into the into here. And that should give us a nice sloped no. Okay. I think that'll do for that anyway. And then in here we can just we can put in some nice windows or something under here. Actually, let's go with these. Ah, damn you, rotation. Get those in there, and then bring this back this way. Like that. Yeah, that feels like a little bit more useful here now. And one of the things we can do now is we can stick our catwalks down. So we have catwalks or railings. I think railings is probably the better idea here. Go, let's, oh, nope, wrong, that one there. Just like that. And then, not going to let me put anything in that spot there, is it? Okay, so if we take those back by 2, and we'll just go back like that. There we go. And I'm probably going to have to do something similar back here as well. But what this means is, in theory, on the front here, we can have these nice fancy new blocks. Can't put them there, that's fine. We now have some decent button panels there. And if I need some more, I can find a way of putting them in. So that's going to be quite useful there. So I think the first thing's going to be, let's name that little piston. Okay. And we will just have a switch on that here to reverse. And this one we will have to toggle it on and off. Because then we can nice and clearly control just how high we want things to be, which I think is perfect. So if we then put the labels on the buttons, center. There we go. So a padding of 20, font size 6, and we are good to go. So then this one is drill height. We'll call it start stop. There we go. It is very nice to add actual visible labels to all the buttons. I'm not so bothered about them being actual LCDs in terms of images and stuff like that. That'll be nice if I ever get to making a mod that has useful images in it. But just being able to put text on them like this is very handy, because you can also then use it with Mmaster's Auto LCD script. So like this drill height, this one start stop, we could have it show the actual current state as well, which would be nice. But I'm not going to get into that on this stream, but yeah, it adds that little bit of kind of realism and dynamic control to your buttons. So which one do I want to do next here? I think this rotor is probably the next one I want. So that one's really going to have a lock and a reverse, isn't it? We've already named that, I believe. Yep. So the reverse, and we'll have the lock on off. And this is the one where it would actually be useful to have Mmasters. It'd let us see the status of that. So I might actually add that let's do that. Let's going to get rid of this window either side. We're going to bring a kind of little bit of a distraction here, but I think it's worth doing. I'll deal with this up here later. And then need a spot for a programmable block. Might stick it out here actually, so use the sci-fi programmable block mod for this one because they just sit nicely on the walls. Let's okay, so in here then, this is going to mess up the first screen, and we're going to have auto LCDs handling all of them now. But that is fine because we can go like this, and this was drill heights, reverse, and we might even be able to put the I wonder if we can put the direction it's going on here with LCDs as well. Let's have a look. I wonder if it's property. No. Status. So I'm just searching the guide to see if there's a way of actually doing this. So prop bool. Okay, so we can do on off. That works. Yeah, it doesn't look like we can do it in auto LCDs, but that is fine. So then we're going to have at one auto LCD, And we're going to do the same again here. And this one's going to be off, and then so in here we can tell it what we want it to say when it is on. So we will say active and stopped. Okay, so that should let's reduce the padding down a little. What have we got for this height? Help if I spelt it correctly. Okay, where's my... Oh, there we are. So in here we're just going to put this name. Ooh, it's the wrong way round. So what's that actually showing us then? So oh, I see. Okay, so we actually have more arguments to this. So this is what it says on the left here. So we do that. There we go. It says active no, active is now yes, active is now no. That's great. Okay, so on this one we need to do a similar sort of thing. So we need to bring that down to 4, that down to 10, just so that it looks correct, and that should bring that in when it next updates. Okay, and then there we go. So these ones then, we have the drill alignment reverse and the rotor lock on off, which we're going to do the same sort of thing with. So that. Text and images, we'll make it 4, the same as the others, 10, the same as the others, and then in custom data, Okay. And then in this one, we're going to have drill alignment. And then here, let's do that. And for a rotor, I wonder what it's called. Let's call it, let's see if rotor lock. Let's see if that works. Oh yeah. Always helpful if we set the sizes up as well. So it can't find the block. That's because it's behind another grid. So that the T colon in auto LCDs means that it will only look on the current grid. So it's not currently locked, and now it is. There we go. So we can unlock and we can reverse, and there it goes. And we can bring it back, and we can lock it wherever we want, really. And what I might do on this one, I wonder if we can show the angle of the rotor. Details might work for this one. On this. So let's try details. That, and I don't want to see the name or the first line. Let's just see what that does. Nope, that is totally useless. So, does anybody who's watching have a clue into if Auto LCD or some other script can show the angle of a rotor? Okay. Looks like it's been something that was commented. Right, okay, so this might work. Where's that rotor? What's it actually showing? Current angle. Yeah. Interesting. We've kind of got it there. It's not as useful as we thought it would be, but let's... Okay, so... So it gives us some information anyway. That's better than nothing, and we can work with that. And I want it to not scroll. Beautiful. Okay, so it's kind of handy. We get the current angle shown on there. So if I unlock it and reverse it, it will eventually get to a roughly vertical position. Okay, let's lock it there. And what's the LCD going to show us now? That's very strange. So it's just decided it doesn't want to show us anything now. That's helpful. But it does have it. It's there, it's back. Okay, so... And it's gone again. I wonder if this is to do with a thing that Keen have done, where until you come in here to look at it, it doesn't exist. Which actually makes that details thing not as useful as it used to be. I'll leave it there for now. It does the job, sort of. And I may have to see if there's another script I can use to show the angle. Think about rotor angle, let's have a look. Okay, thanks, Jeroen. I'll have a look at that. So, rotor angle to LCD script. Okay, that looks like it might be one that will work. I won't be able to put the angle on the LCD here because this is going to have to tell me what the button does. But we could quite easily stick a little corner LCD or something somewhere else to show what the angle is, possibly even on the rotor itself up there. I could always look up and see it. So yeah, thanks, Jeroen. That's good. Okay, so onwards then, we're going to want all these other pistons need to be in a group. So that's those. So well, that will put all the drills in a group as well. Got the hinge, let's name that. We need the landing gear. Okay, so we've got everything named there. So I suppose having drills on off is probably going to be a good useful one to have. These pistons are going to need to go very slowly. So we found 0.02 meters per second is about the velocity you want to push them forwards at when you're drilling in survival. So we've got 6 pistons there, so a little bit of maths puts us at about 0.003. I'm right. So if we set that, that'll mean that they extend at the right speed for actually drilling. This advanced rotor is the other one on the front there. I think I'm just going to leave that where it sits for now. But at some point in the future, so that's this one up here, which is in the center of the drill rig. So at some point in the future, it might be worth having that one able to rotate as well. Certainly if I was going to drill in this kind of configuration, because obviously the drills in this configuration are not in front of the piston extension, so I would probably have to bring the alignment back round the other way to make that work. That's fine. Having it able to spin if we were going to drill a big hole vertically would be useful. But for now, let's just make these. We want pistons reverse, so we can extend or retract those, and we want drills on off there. Yeah, we've got a lot of different rotors and hinge capabilities here. We can do. There's a lot we can do with this. I think it's going to be interesting to try and actually build this in survival. And I'm not sure that we're going to have enough materials just yet in our survival stream to be able to do this. But it's certainly that is going to be one of our early challenges, is to get this set up so that we can go and drill out that tunnel, drill out our base, and even take it out and get some ore out of it. Well, I never do things the easy way, but it's you know, why make things easy? It's that's just nonsense. No. Yeah. So the rotors in this, we've got in terms of flexibility, we've got this piston here and this hinge. So this we can lift the whole assembly up, and we can tilt this hinge forwards to let us drill basically at any angle we want. We can, if we lift it all the way up, we can even tilt it backwards a little bit to get an upwards slope as well. And so this rotor here, I've got this kind of elbow on it so that when it's in its in its zero position, it sits central. So this one, Jeroen, this one's the one that you're unsure about. So what are you unsure about? Have I missed something on this? Have I got something that's going to blow up on me? Oh, just by having the extra rotor there, you mean? So the idea of this rotor, as opposed to this one here, this one here is for the alignment, as I went through. So this one is so that we've got a point of rotation that is in the center of the drill rig. An elbow with a square on it. I'm not sure what you mean, Jeroen. But yeah, I mean, this is really just to allow this whole drill head to rotate. So when we're drilling when we want to drill a big circular hole, basically, if we're getting ice, if we're going down for a mining vein, or even if we just want to drill a really large circular shaft inside a mountain or something like that, then we can just have that rotating around as it's extending, and it'll give us that bigger hole, basically. So let's get this set up then. So we've got the extend pistons, we've got the drills, so yeah, that works. And we've got the... what else do we need to do? Okay, I think that's it for now there. So let's... actually, I'm going to make this a little more complicated. I'm going to make this extend drills. We're going to have retract. We're going to have stop pistons, and then we're going to have the drills on and off. This is going to be... go back and find what they are now. Drill extension pistons, that's it. And then we're going to go drill extensions, extend, we're going to go retract, go on off, and then drills on off. Okay. There we go. So stop pistons. So this one we'll do status. That. No, okay. They are retracted. We can set those to extend, and they're all going to start moving. Very, very slowly. Okay, see you, Bot. Thanks for watching. Stop works. Bring those back. That works. Okay, so I think we've got a good little control system set up for this bit now. And the last bit is going to be that hinge. So the hinge, we need to be able to reverse and stop. So let's pick up the hinge. So this one's going to be reverse and this one will be on off. And let's set these up as well. So and I want that hinge vertical alignment. It's not group. And then I'm going to go on off. If yes, no. Okay, and then set these to the same. There we go. So that hinge is it's not locked, is it, that we want? It's not on off, is it? That is one that we want to be hinge lock. Yes, and we want that one to be hinge lock as well. Hinge lock on off. There we go. So we are now locked. Okay, so awesome. Cool. That is the boring bit done. So now we just need to greeble this a little. And figure out how we're going to get some kind of connection on here to offload whatever we're mining into something storage related. I think we're going to want to have those wheels strength up a little. Do that. We'll put it up to 20. That'll give us a nice bit of that. I'm going to restrict us down to 30 kilometers per hour on this. It's a big mining vehicle. It should not be racing anything. Okay. They are 3x3s. I keep looking at these thinking they look like 5x5s, but they're not. They are 3x3s. Righty then. Let's sort out those windows for a start. And I do want something else on those, but we'll deal with that in a minute. So let's bring that back down. No, stop. Let's get that rotated all the way back around to where it should be. So they can be off. They're off. You're locked. Awesome. Okay. So that's good for a control room. Stick a door on it. There we go. I don't know why I put a door there with the hole in the roof. It's kind of pointless, but anyway. So what we need then is another thing up here to actually control the vehicle from, and I'm kind of tempted to put one on both sides actually, just so it doesn't matter which side you come up on. But I'm not going to. I'm just going to put one on this side. And I might even get rid of this extra platformy bit over here as well, make it a little bit asymmetrical. For now, let's make this a bit longer. Or should we not have a platform at all and maybe make it a cockpit? I don't think a built cockpit like this is going to be that useful on this. Let's not sure how a cockpit's going to work with the collisions on this, to be fair. But take a look. So large grid, we have a big conveyor port on the bottom for that one. That one has one on the top. That is tempting, but no, that would just be suicide. But sticking that on the bottom of there gives us a nice place to actually control the vehicle from. Unless we go there. I actually quite like the look of that. I still need to figure out how I'm getting stuff out of this system as well. I wonder. That might work. We could do something a little funky here. So let's just attach both sides of this to the base. Catch these wheels as well for now. Because... get rid of that. Let's make a backup just in case. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of this block here. And some more of these blocks going back this way. Like this. That's all supported there, which is good. That means I can get rid of that. Now the big question is, how do I get a connector out the back here? Let's plant those in the ground there. As well. Now I can't get rid of that because of this landing gear. Yeah, I'm kind of looking at that. I was thinking it might be cool to have like a conveyor. So if I was to stick a conveyor junction in here, or even use the corner like that, and then take that all the way back here. Like that. And maybe see... I can't do it there because of that. I was thinking something like the grated catwalks then. So if I could get a connection point, sort of having grated catwalks over this, like this. Yeah. It's I haven't got the connection points though, which is the problem. So I'd have to bring one of these back this way a little anyway, and then find a way of putting a connection point in. Now I could replace that railing there with a catwalk with railing and attach the buttons to that instead. Just means setting these buttons up again, which I can do off camera. That's not a problem. Actually, let's do that. Let's go. So there's a catwalk with railing. And then you get to come all the way back like that. That's pretty cool. Now the only problem now is where do we take the connection point out of? And the only place I can think, like Bootsy, you were just saying, is maybe out either side. But I would have liked to have had somewhere on here that I can stick a large cargo box, so that if we are drilling ores with it, it's got somewhere to stick that ore. The other benefit as well, the other thing we'll probably want to do as well, is have a control seat inside here, so that once the drills are going, I can increase the speed of the pistons and then hold down right click to get down to ores if needs be. So I like the idea of that. Stick button panel back on there. Yeah, okay, so I like this. This will annoy my OCD, but I think I can probably live with that. I feel like they should have one of those as an end piece. So instead of just having that one that has the ooh, actually, dang it. So we do that, and we get rid of these pieces that I just spent ages setting up the buttons on. Really. And instead, let's do... So there is another mod I have that I thought was absolute genius, and this will be the first time that I've had the option to use it, and I now can't find it. What was it called? Me, or is this all blocks view not actually showing me all blocks? What is it called? that's what it's called, is struts. That's why I couldn't find it. The icons are weird. So let's have that. Like that. So these struts are created. They're a workshop item created by a guy who names himself Psycho, and I think he should probably be called Genius instead. And I know that some streamers like Split C have been using the neon pipes, but these are just incredible little little struts for just creating an attachment point, and they look just right. So in here now, if I grab this, I can stick that there, no problem, and these struts just hold it in place. They just work. And he's got variants of them for windows. He's got variants of them for working with stairs, so it actually looks like they belong there. Yeah, they're one of the most. They're one of the simplest mods out there that nobody has come up with in nearly 6 years of this game, and I think it must have taken the creation of the grated catwalks and the grated stairways for them to actually become useful. So yeah, I think it is just no, that's not what I wanted. That's it. Let's put these all the way down so that they actually look like they're doing something. And I'm going to take this door out and this entire back wall, I think, because I don't like the way it looks. Doesn't need it. And then just here, I think we'll have the straight for now, and it gives us a spot I can do something with later. We can possibly come down to an ejector here, or to a connector, sorry, with an ejection setup. Not sure I like that, to be honest, but there's that, and the other option would be to bring out a connector out the side. Wherever we put this connector, though, is where I'm going to be able to connect it up to something that's going to make it useful. And I'm thinking, since we've got the cockpit down here now, these walls are actually not as useful as I thought they were going to be. So if we were to ditch the walls. Yeah, they can go. So we're still set up like this. So, I mean, that should mean that we're all connected up again side to side. And I wonder if we take out that. I love that it stays connected. That's beautiful. Let's put a straight armoured one in there so it gives us the floor. And then under here, take out that one there. And let's put a cross connector in. So we now have connections out the sides. And my OCD is telling me I need to put one of these there. So we're going to do that. And then I kind of want to put a large cargo container on either side. I've just got visions of that getting messy in terms of centre of mass. And we also need to kind of keep it within what this can drill so that we can drive inwards. So we're all connected up still. I'm just going to get rid of these bits. Yeah, that's not going to work with these wheels. I can't bring it any higher because it will interfere with that. I agree, Bootsy. I make very, very certain that I have lots and lots of points of connection just for that very reason. I have in the past, particularly with mirror mode on, deleted something and watched most of my creation go plummeting to its doom. So no, that lesson is hard learned. I mean, I've still got to find a way of connecting these up, which is obviously going to have to be under here, but that feels like it's very close to the bottom of the suspension. To have that in there like that. This is another very nice little mod, is the Conveyor Air Vent Mod. It's been around for a while, but just gives you a couple of additional options for air vents. So you can have one that is just like a conveyor block that has an air vent on one side. They're quite useful. I'm just deciding whether I want it to look like that at the moment, or like that. I think I actually like that better for this one. Yeah, the wheels... height offset. Let's jump out. So that's as low as they'll go. And obviously they've got a bit of bounce in them as well, so we need to be careful of that. Even then, I can't really... I don't think we can safely put in a large cargo container in here. I mean, maybe. I mean, it's not... This vehicle obviously is not designed to be crawling over lots of rugged terrain. It's going to be quite utilitarian in... Oh, I get you, Bootsy. Not really on this build, because one of the points is that this whole armature swings around, and when I bring it down, it can sit with these drills in a position where it can drill out for us to drive over. So the idea is that this will be able to drill a tunnel that it will be able to drive into. So I'm trying to keep it as vertically compact as possible when it's all collapsed down. Which is why I like the idea of having these cargo containers in here. And I think so long as I'm careful with the driving, that shouldn't be too big of a problem. It just means that we're going to have a way of emptying it into the base. And I think that's going to be a connector on the side. Plus, putting these in the middle like this keeps it nice and compact in terms of the center of mass. Yeah, I like that. Not within design parameters. Yeah. I think if we get rid of those, we can actually fit a bit more cargo on here using these blocks here. Just by going small cargo here and here. It just gives that little bit extra. And I think if we stick a piston on the side here, and put a connector on there, that'll give us a way of actually getting connected up to the base. Actually, I like this better. Yeah, things going bang randomly is just kind of welcome to space engineers, really. But if I stick this piston in here, like that, nestle that in nicely there, let's just make sure that that can actually extend. Yeah, good. then like that. And then let's do a small head or a small connector, because they are much, much less expensive. Yeah, I like it. So this gives us a bit of a well, it gives us some options for connecting to the base. In terms of we can extend this piston. It'll give us a little bit of clearance. It's only a 1x1 piston, but it does give us enough clearance to just get past the wheel there. So we can connect out straight to a connector on the base, or if we have a base where we have a connector in the floor, maybe on a piston as well, then we can always so upper limit's 90, lower limit is going to be 0, and we can always just turn that downwards to connect something down in the base, like vertically in the base as well. And then this can all just be reversed to store it or stow it back neatly in the vehicle. So I think that's all I have time for this week. I've not quite got it finished, so we'll be picking this up next week to get some more work done on this. So thanks for the follows, guys. And I'm wondering if this gives us the connection points we need, but it doesn't. And I can stick those in there like that. That gives us my 3 screens for controlling this from when we come to do that. So next week will be mostly a little bit of greebling, and we will knock this off of its stilts and give it a test run as well. I'm quite excited to see how this works. We won't be building it in survival this week, as obviously I'd like to get it finished here first. And when we do come to build this in survival, it's going to be a bit of a nightmare to build. I might see if there's a way. I think it probably won't be possible with all these pistons and subgrids, but to see if there was a way to merge block some of the large grid subgrids together so they're printable, and then maybe take a separate blueprint of this small grid drill array. I don't think that's going to be worth the time and effort it would take to do it, but we will at some point have this, or at the least something like it, built in our survival stream. Survival stream for Space Engineers is 7 PM UK time on a Monday, and we also do a survival 7 Days to Die on a Thursday evening at 7 PM as well. Both of those are co-op with my lovely wife, and the creative streams on a Sunday morning are just me trying to figure stuff out that we can then use in the survival game if it works. If it all blows up horribly, I might still put it in and let my wife play with it and see what happens. That could also be entertaining. But thanks for watching, guys. That's it for today. I'm going to sign off now. You all have a good day, and I will hopefully see you next time.